Hey there, good evening everyone. So today we are again back with another interesting interview. Today we are featuring Mr. Ramani Mani. He's a serial entrepreneur and an electrical industry evangelist. He's the founder of Mani Group of Companies, a group which is into electrical distribution, switchboard manufacturing, panel building, and electrical enclosure manufacturing. He is the he is the director south of COSMO, the Control Panel and Switchgear Manufacturing Association, headquartered in Mumbai, India. Mr. Ramani commenced business in 1983 with Money Sales Bangalore, an electrical trading company. In 1990, in order to go up the value chain from products to solutions, he started Load Controls India Private Limited, a control panel and switchboard manufacturing company. In his quest to add latest technologies, he registered Modutec Ready Panels Private Limited in 2007, a type-tested flat pack and modular switchboard enclosure systems manufacturing company. Apart from being an entrepreneur for over 38 years and employing about 2,200 plus people, Mr. Ramani has a passion to share his knowledge on simplifying panel building. And I know that he's got a couple of other interests as well. So without any further ado, let me just welcome Mr. Ramani Mani onto the screen. Hi, Ramani. Good evening. How are you?
Hi, Satish. Fine. Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Pleasure. So let's begin by asking you this question. First question to you is what's been your family background and what was the thought process which prompted you to take the plunge into entrepreneurship and in the electrical field?
Okay. So I basically come from Chennai, and my father's side have been majorly in the Indian Navy. I have uncles who've come from the army and stuff like that. And however, on my mother's side, my grandfather was a businessman, and I guess that's the blood which runs into through my veins. That's and moreover, I also had this opportunity to have friends in college who were we were about 5 to 6 of us who were very close friends, and all of them were in business from business families. So that also sort of influenced me. It was really my eldest brother, Mani Shankar, who took the first plunge into business. And when I was in college, I used to go and sit in his office during the summer holidays, and that's how I got exposed to business. And then when I graduated, he said, "Why don't we start a branch in Bangalore?" And then it all happened. My father was a very important and subtle patronizer of this arrangement. And well, it's been a good roller coaster. In fact, must tell you that the kind of engineering which I did was chemical engineering, but opportunity brought me to the electrical field, and I think it's been a good journey from there.
So basically, you're a chemical engineer turned into electrical field.
That's
very interesting.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
opportunity.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right. Very nice. Great. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So from electrical trading, what prompted you to get into panel board manufacturing?
Well, I started business in 1983 in a paying guest accommodation. And then 84, we moved the shop to Chickpet, which is the heart of the electrical market. And while I was there, my brother had started Load Controls, a panel building unit in Chennai. And he, suggested that I could go over to Chennai and join him there as well while we appoint a branch in charge out here. So for 8 months, I was in Chennai looking after the panel building unit, and that's where I got my exposure to panel building. After 8 months, destiny had it that I came back to Bangalore. And while I was back in Bangalore, these thoughts kept coming to me as to how can I move from product selling in money sales to probably a little bit of solution selling, which means you keep adding more value and go closer to the customer. So I started taking orders for whatever panel requirements I came across. I used to get it done outside and then supply it to the customers. And I found that, there was a particular knack which I seemed to have in this. So one fine day, in fact, my brother Shankar again came to Bangalore and he said, if you were to start a panel building unit, where would you start it in Bangalore? And there was this person who I used to get panels done from. So I said, probably in that location, Adugodi. And he said, come, let's go. And we reached the place, and then he went in one direction, I went in one direction. And then we located this 1,000 square feet shed, which I started in the year 1990 with about 8 people. And it's been a good journey from there. It's a lot of satisfaction, a lot of passion into it. And yeah, that's how it happened that got into panel board manufacturing.
Wow, very interesting.
Yeah.
So I think at every point in time you were looking at what next, what is in store for you next, not just being happy with the status quo. And I think you had the support of the family as well.
Yeah, totally. As entrepreneurs, we are problem solvers, and we keep looking for where is the biggest problem, where is the bigger problem, and how do we go and solve it. So I think that sort of makes things a little bit interesting for us as well.
Great. Wonderful share. Wonderful. So what has been your biggest learning in manufacturing?
Okay. So when I started manufacturing, I didn't, it was like learning on the job, trying to understand how we go about it. And naturally, there was a lot of issues we had. We had quality problems, we had on-time delivery problems, so on and so forth. So I was very keen to understand how does one get over these kind of issues? How does one grow the business with peace of mind? And how does one satisfy customers without getting complaints from them? So I think, that is when I realized that for everything, there is a system which we need to follow. And when you come into manufacturing, again, there is a system of manufacturing which is very important for us to learn. The one which goes best with standard products is called lean manufacturing. Now, I was in a customized business. So when I looked around and tried to understand as to which is the system which works well for our kind of customized business, I realized that it was the theory of constraints. It's something which, there was a person by name Eliyahu Goldratt from Israel, and he had come out with this 5-step philosophy of how one should identify the constraint in the manufacturing system, and how does one overcome that constraint by expanding on that, by ensuring that you de-bottleneck that constraint. And once you de-bottleneck one constraint, then the constraint shifts, and then how do you go behind the next constraint? And then when you keep doing that, what happens is the throughput increases in the manufacturing, and that is what manufacturing efficiency is all about. So in the bargain, you also have the least work in progress, and therefore you have with the least investment of money, you have a higher inventory turns. So all these were philosophies which I learned, and I think learning is what really leads one to understanding what is the better way of doing business, how better way of getting across what you want to get across to your customers, and that's been a very enjoyable journey for me, I must say.
Very nice, very interesting. So what nudged you to get into modular enclosures after being a panel builder for some time?
Okay, so Satish, it was like this. When I was in manufacturing, and in the electrical switchboard line, it is, I don't know why it is like this, but it is always like this worldwide, that the order position goes like a sine wave. Sometimes you're flooded with orders, and sometimes there's hardly any orders. Now, when there's hardly any orders, one has to run helter-skelter and try to get orders. And then when you are flooded with orders, we have to say no to a customer, and that was something which I really felt bad about. So I kept thinking about how does one expand one's capacities without much increase in the investment. And while this thought was going on in my mind, I again had an opportunity to go to Singapore with my brother, Shankar. And I spent about a week's time in Singapore. And during this week, I said, let me understand as to how the world makes panel boards. And that's when, I looked up the yellow pages. There was no Google at that time. It was in the year 1996. And I visited about 18 panel building units out there. What I realized was that there were three types of panel builders broadly. Uh, the first category was the conventional panel builders, like how we have in India, which is they do the panels in a completely welded design. The second category was a semi-modular design of panels, where there was a recognition of the importance of standardization, but then the design was not completely modular. They were definitely better off than the people who were in the welded construction design. And then what took my breath away was the completely modular design. It was something amazing which I saw. It was something which really made me stop myself on my track and then say, hey, if panels have to be made, this is how it should be made. And so I pursued this thought process. I went to several countries abroad. I went to Malaysia, I went to Sri Lanka, I went to Dubai, I went to Denmark. I really tried to understand how this technology works, what is different in it, how is it adapted by various customers worldwide. When they adapt this technology, how does it help them to score over the rest, give better services to their customers, make a difference to the way they are able to add value, so on and so forth. So I came back energized. I also got into the drawing board. I hired certain people who are very good in this particular area. And then we did a lot of homework to understand with the frugal machinery which we had, how do we bring out this modular concept? So that was again a point which we needed to look into. And we were able to deliver on the completely modular enclosure way back in the year 2000. And the moment we got into this modular technology, I dropped the welded technology like a hot brick. And we have our shop floor meetings every week. And I still remember the comment made by one of the workers. His name is Girish, and he said, "Sir, he said it in Kannada that modular ಹೋಗಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನಮ್ದು health ತುಂಬಾ improve ಆಗಿದೆ sir." Which means that the health of the person really improved, because it's really a greener technology. The lesser welding you have, the lesser carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, which goes into the atmosphere. And this is something which touched me, and it sort of reinforced my belief that this is the right kind of business model to be followed. And I continue to manufacture modular enclosures for my own factory load controls. In the year 2012, I had a person from Qatar. He came down and somebody directed him to us. He wanted to look for a modular enclosure manufacturer. Mr. Subramaniam is his name. And when he came, he saw our panels. He was very impressed. And just in that one trip, he signed the contract with us, gave us the order to manufacture the panels and get it type tested as per Intertech ASTA certification, which is world renowned laboratory, and as per IEC 61439 part 1 and 2, which is the standard which was then emerging. And this is once a panel builder gets his panels type tested as per the standard, it gives the consultant as well as the end user a lot of confidence and trust that this is a panel which will stand the various tests which it could go through in terms of temperature rise, in terms of short circuit, in terms of the kind of dust and vermin proof protection that there should be for a switchboard. And we got this test passed in the first shot. Thereafter, we started, exporting these flat pack enclosures to Qatar. Then another customer came in from Dubai hearing about this. We supplied panels to him also. And I registered this company called Modutec in the year 2007. But then, as normally what happens in business, you get distracted. And I was thinking whether to start, not to start, whether to get into this, not to get into this. 2017, something really outstanding happened. The previous year, we had done a turnover of 48 crores. And in 2017, we got an order which was worth 35 crores. And this was for Kia Motors. It's in the outskirts of Bangalore. And they wanted these panels to be manufactured in just a period of 5 months. We got into the fray. We really put our heart and soul into it. And what I realized was that but for the modular technology, I would never have been able to make these panels in this time frame and satisfy the customer on the quality. And that's when, I said, this is too good an idea for me to go to my grave without exploiting it, exploring it, and offering it to the world. So 2017 and 2018 onwards, we started billing in Modutec, and then the growth really started in this company. And I'm glad to share with you that within the first year of my deciding that I'm going to be getting into this business, I was able to attract 2 multinational companies who came, and their R&D teams came. One was LS Electric from South Korea. The other one was Mitsubishi from Japan. They had their R&D engineers come in, visit our factory, and now we are in the 62,000 square feet, built-to-suit facility down Kanakpura Road. And today we have, of course, all the world-class machinery what is required to make these switchboards. We have even foam gasketing machine and the 9-tank automated kind of a pre-treatment plant for powder coating, so on and so forth. And when they inspect all this, they said yes, and they signed the contract with Modutec. Today, Modutec is the official partners for both LS Electric of Korea as well as Mitsubishi of Japan for the Indian subcontinent. And hopefully, we should be able to get a lot of leverage out of this in the overseas markets also. So this, Satish, is a long answer to your question of how I got into modular enclosures from switchboards. It's been a great journey. Yeah, thanks.
Very, very inspiring, Ramani. Very inspiring. Terrific. And I think one success leads to the other. And especially when you're looking at those kind of scenario where you're not expecting to execute an order, a tough order within 5 months. And thanks to your vision that you're already there in that space to leverage your capabilities and take it to the next level. I think that really proves it to yourself also. And it also gives you that validity, which you always is most welcome. It's always welcome for us, to get that as
absolutely.
an entrepreneur. Nice.
Absolutely. And just to add to that, last year was a year of pandemic for us. And in spite of the pandemic, when I took this technology overseas, I'm glad to share with you that we were able to grow at almost 600% on our exports on last year over the previous year. Of course, these are initial years, so these numbers don't mean too much, but it's definitely an indication that there is a need out there. And, not just Dubai and Qatar, but we have also been able to supply to Kenya. We have been able to supply to South Africa, to Australia, both in Perth on the western side, as well as now Melbourne on the eastern side. So these are indications that, we are on a path where there is a need, and we are here to satisfy that need. And probably, my gut feel is that we are in the right place at the right time with the right technology, and hopefully things will go forward in the right direction. And we are here with a genuine intent, a genuine mission to simplify panel building for the panel builder. And, I truly want to share with the panel building world what I have learned in all these years, and what I have been able to perfect to whatever extent I have been able to, and see how they are able to then further add value and increase the electrical distribution, the speed at which electrical distribution can happen in a reliable and safe manner that much faster.
Very interesting, and very inspiring. In fact, I'm getting a lot of live comments here from Sampath Kumar, Ravi Zaveri, Sandeep is there, and MIC. So a couple of people are Anand Jayavant. So a couple of very encouraging thoughts from them and blessings from them reaching out to you. Okay, that's good.
Thank you so much.
Very nice, very nice. So. Where do you intend to going from here, from the space that you're in, already looking to be very good, very inspiring, and a lot of people can also learn from this? And where do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years time?
When I look at the trend in not only Indian markets but also the world markets, this IEC 61439 standard is here to stay. In countries like Australia, the Middle East, and so many other places, this becomes mandatory. If you don't have your switchboards type tested according to this standard, then you're not qualified to supply an electrical switchboard in these places. In India, of course, we haven't yet come that far in terms of legislation, but I can tell you over the last 2 to 3 years, the number of electrical tenders where the IEC 61439 is specified has risen, and it's going up in geometric proportions. So I would say that when you look at what panel builders in India and the world would do when this kind of a condition is being put, there are principal companies like Schneider Electric, ABB, Siemens, and these companies have developed their own IEC 61439 design, and they offer it to panel builders. Now, the kind of license fee they charge, it sort of enables the A category panel builders to jump onto the bandwagon, and quite a number of them have done it in India as well as abroad, and they are able to rule the roost as far as encashing the kind of a trend in the market is concerned. And this is where my heart went out to the B and the C category panel builders, and I was thinking that what is it that they are going to do as far as getting into this fray is concerned. In fact, when I spoke to a few of them, they said that when the inquiry comes with IEC 61439, they simply don't participate. I said, why? And you can do it with people like Rittel, for instance, and L Steel, who are switchgear agnostic enclosure manufacturers and who can pass on their certification to the panel builders. But the catch here was that the pricing was too high for quite a number of them to even consider this. So that is where we came out with our 3 brand promises from Modutec. Our first brand promise is that we are committed to giving you the panel faster than competition, and this is something which I can elaborate on. But for this interview, you could just take it that we have a technique by which we are faster in terms of the way we serve the panel builders. The second brand promise is that in our panel industry, which is a customized industry quite by and large, change is the only constant. And you'll find that right from the time the negotiation is completed to even while you're preparing the drawing, there could be changes. While you're manufacturing the panel also, there would be changes quite a number of times. I'm not saying this as rarities. It is quite frequently it happens. And also, after the panel board is reaching the site, customers will make changes. Now, why do they do this? Because they serve other customers, and the other customers they serve, whether they're industry customers or building customers, they would have last minute changes probably brought in by the architect or probably brought in by their own customers, where instead of a 200 amps switch, you would need to have 2 numbers of 63 amp switch, or vice versa. And in a welded panel, there's practically no way you can handle this excepting by increasing the length of the panel, and which is going to be occupying more real estate. And sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. Uh, in a modular system, the flexibility which is offered in our system is something, you got to see it to believe it. It's like these modular furniture which we have, where you have one drawer, you can take out two drawer, you can take a big drawer out and put in two small drawers, right? So in a similar way, like in the kitchen cabinet. So in a similar way, in our modular switchboards, you can have two modules merging into one, and vice versa, three modules merging into one, and so on and so forth. You can also have the doors reversible, right to left, left to right, which is very rarely possible in a welded design panel. So these are the aspects which really helps the panel builder satisfy his customer that much better. And the third brand promise which we came forward with is that we will price our enclosures in a very fair manner. And this is where, the B and the C category panel builders they really appreciate this. And we are already having several tie-ups in India itself with panel builders who've been repeatedly giving us orders. And it's a matter of time before we are able to increase the numbers. And I mentioned to you about these companies like Schneider, ABB, and Siemens, and they also have the enclosures which are type tested. And my commitment to my customers is that we will always be cheaper than them. And this is something which we are committed to. And with this, it's become a kind of an obsession for me that I need to share this technology with the world. And so my dream is that by 2025, of all the modular switchboard enclosure manufacturers who are present worldwide, I should be amongst the top 5. This is quite a big dream to have. But then nice. I have sort of rolled out a process by which I should be able to get there, and God willing, I will. Thanks. Over to you.
Very nice. Yeah. Great. Super. So what has been your biggest learning for the last 38 years that you're in business, and what would be your advice to budding entrepreneurs?
Yeah, okay, that's a good question, Satish. You see, as an entrepreneur, I'm sure many entrepreneurs who are probably listening to us out here would also be having this kind of a thought that it's very lonely at the top. When you're at the top, which means the top of your organization, and as an entrepreneur, you're the place the buck stops, right? There's nothing which goes beyond that. And when you are in that kind of a situation, invariably there are times when you feel very insecure, and there are times when you feel that very afraid about what's going to happen next, and how are you going to be handling this, and so on and so forth. And in fact, I've shared this in a there's an organization called Ascent, and it's started by Mr. Harish Mariwala of Marico. It's a fantastic idea and amazing organization where his thought is just to put entrepreneurs together so that they would be able to exchange their points of view with each other, and therefore feel that and share that camaraderie. And by sharing their experiences with each other, we learn from each other and then go forward. Now, the space I come from today is that it's never lonely at the top. And this is something which I have, when I look back today and when I see the various experiences and the various aspects of, stages of business which I have gone through, I can certainly see the hand of an unseen power which has propelled me through various, like I told you about the Kia Motors order. It came to me at a time when I was really wanting that kind of a boost in my business. And then, the trip I made to Singapore, it was God sent. I hadn't planned it out. It just happened. So, it's like the Steve Jobs beautiful talk of connecting the dots. When we connect the dots, we are able to realize that we are never alone. And this is what I would like entrepreneurs to really appreciate. We we are the people who go out there and solve problems for various aspects of what improves the living condition and the conveniences of mankind. And when we take that kind of a stand, and the bigger the problem we are able to address, you'll find that bigger is the energy which comes behind you and propels you forward. And it's very important for us to aim to solve bigger and bigger problems in the world, because one thing also I realize is that it is actually the journey which is the reward. It's not that you reach a particular destination, you've made it, and then thereafter you're happy ever after. It's never like that. In fact, a good friend of mine, Dr. Sri Krishna, has written a book about happy exits in business. And I read this book of Hema Hattangadi of Conserve, and she has written in that book that after she sold the company, it took her 1 year to get over the pangs of separation from her company, although she had a hell of a lot of money in the bank. And what really we come to understand from this is that money cannot solve all your problems. And it is really the journey of being an entrepreneur, the journey of solving problems, that really makes the difference to the way one feels and the way one is completely alive in the journey of entrepreneurship. And I also truly believe that each one of us, we have an option to be a history reader or a history maker. And it's very important for us, while we are given this gift of life, to ensure that we are committed to living an extraordinary life. Just that thought, just that intent of saying that I want to lead an extraordinary life, it will change a lot of DNA inside you. It will change a lot of thinking patterns inside you. You'll start focusing more on what you really want to give to the world, and that makes living worthwhile. So I really wish everyone who wants to become an entrepreneur, or even you can be an intrapreneur, there's nothing wrong in that. It's all about what is your strength and what is your focus in life. We just need to give it our 100%, and then the life becomes worth it. So and yes, we are never alone. So that's another thought which I would like to leave people behind with. Yeah.
Very nice. So we're hearing a lot of comments as well. Anand is saying that you're never alone. We are with you and all of that. Yeah, nice comments from various people. Suresh is there. Quite a few good comments coming in. Yeah, great. Yeah. So, Ramani, tell me, have you been inspired by any business gurus' their teachings or learnings from them?
Absolutely. I mean, when I go back to my school days, I was quite a introvert kind of a person, not very gregarious. When I came to college, my friend Kapil, he gave me this book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. That was a book which really started me on this journey of understanding myself and understanding the world and understanding how to relate and so on and so forth. That was an amazing book. I read it, I don't know how many times. I've made notes out of it. It's a brilliant book. And then my brother Mani Shankar, he has been instrumental in guiding me through every step in business, and that has been he's been one of my gurus that way. Good friend, philosopher, and guide. My father has been a great support for me in very subtle ways, and the patronizing stance he would take in various decisions which I needed to take in business, that really went a long way in reinforcing my focus. And 83, I started business in Bangalore. 84, I came across this ad which says from the Dale Carnegie's Institute. So this is a course called MILT, and it was by a person by name Aparesh Acharya. And I tell you, that was it sort of came like a thunderstorm in my life. And it was such a fantastic program, and I did it 3 times thereafter. And it sort of really shaped my thinking in several ways. There was the spiritual aspect to it, and then there was the aspect of public speaking, or dramatics, or human relations, so on and so forth, the various aspects, pegging, and it was very, very interesting.
Wow.
Another person who made a big dent, a big, I would say, difference, not dent, in my life is Stephen Covey. I didn't have the opportunity to meet him, but his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and I went through a program also in that. I truly believe that that book could not have come out from a human being. It must have been some channeling which has happened. And the 7 habits, what he talks about, if you enter my office, you can see the 7 posters. I've kind of put it up there so that not only my my staff, my customers, number of customers, actually they come and take photographs of these posters. It's something which
Amazing.
has again made a big difference. And then when I told you about the way of manufacturing, when I needed to understand how to do it, how to do it better, there was a theory of constraints which I understood was the way we needed to go about manufacturing. So I Google searched, and then I got across this person by name Ramas Krishnan from Inspire Infinite. He had a fantastic team. He came down from Mumbai, and we engaged with him. And he taught us a lot of things about how to go about manufacturing. And we engaged him again on how to go about sales and marketing. And that's when I realized this aspect about qualification of inquiries, about conversion ratio, so on and so forth. So there have been fantastic people who have come into my life and who have taught me various aspects. We have India's #1 CEO coach by name Shweta Handagupta. And I came across an article of hers in the Deccan Herald. I reached out to her, and she came down from Delhi. We engaged her for more than a year. And that engagement phase was also something fantastic. And then I was looking for something structured in terms of learning about business, and that's when I came across Rajiv Talreja and the PACE program. And I must say, the structured way in which he taught us about entrepreneurship, about how do you grow your business without you being involved in a very intense way, all that made a lot of sense. I'm a lifelong fan of Rajiv and his team. Karan, of course, also was my coach personally, and they made a big impact in my life. They continue to do so. There's another person called Vishen Lakiani of Mind Valley. You must look up mindvalley.com. It's in case you have not already, and it's a online virtual university. It is not a single day when I don't get into that app and listen to one video or the other. It's a continuous journey of learning, which has been very inspiring for me. And now what I have done is I've also engaged a lady by name Srivatsala. She's a director on the board of our companies. She's also a director on the board of companies like Shobha Developers and Diageo. And I get into a weekly meeting with her where I am able to express to her the various situations I'm facing in business. And she's a very insightful person, and she's able to share with me, what could be other alternatives. She would give me various other perspectives. And I think this is very important for a businessman to always have a mentor, because what is important is there are different perspectives to how you can look at what can be done, what should be done, what could be done. And when you have somebody else experienced in the line out there to coach you, it makes a big difference. So, I mean, these are a few of the people who have touched my life in different ways. And I would say that, learning has to be a constant endeavor. And I've been enjoying this journey, Satish.
Wow, amazing. I think that's the underlying factor has been all through. It looks like learning from mentors, learning from coaches, implementing it, and then keep growing from there. Nice. It's a big inspiration. Very nice.
Thank you.
Great. So, Ramani, tell me, how do you take decisions for yourself? Is it on your own, collectively as a team, or the other way of putting this question is, what is your style of leadership?
Okay, that's again a very brilliant question, because it's important for us to be in touch with ourselves, and the more we are in touch with ourselves, the more we understand these kind of approaches which we need to be taking, the better would be the quality of our decisions. So I would say that I'm a mix of both being democratic in my decision making as well as autocratic. Now, what I mean is that when I face a problem, the first thing I do is I call all the connected leaders in my organization. I often call people and say, "Hey, come along! I want to brainstorm with you." And then we sit down, and then I put the problem on the table, and then I listen to people who are there, who have also been on this journey with me, so they're able to see the problem from their perspectives, and they come out with various suggestions. I take in all the suggestions in a very fair manner. I I evaluate it, and then at one point of time, I would say, yes, this is the way we need to be going. And the moment I get that clarity, then I just shut my ears, and I don't listen to anybody. I just go about executing it the way I feel is the right thing for me to do. So I've always followed this kind of a decision making process, whether it is in my personal life or in business. It's important for us to listen to people, but it's also important for us to be very clear about what we really want. And once we are clear about what we really want, we must go hammer and tongs behind it. Yeah, I think
Wow,
that's my style, Satish.
amazing, amazing, very nice. So ultimately, the buck stops at your on your desk. It's with you.
Absolutely.
Great,
You can say that
great,
again and
nice.
again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great. So, so this question is slightly, I wanted to ask you this question because as successful entrepreneurs, we have this innate desire, like our family members should follow us, work with us, and blah blah blah, all of that, especially our kids. Sometimes we are very, it's a touchy thing for us sometimes, In your case, as I understand, you have actually given a very lot of free space to your kids to find out what is it that makes them tick, what is it that they inspires them, what is it that they would like to do with their lives. So, how did that come about, and what's your philosophy and thought process behind this thought? Because this is very, very important for most entrepreneurs, because I think I have grappled with that conflict a number of times in the past. So, I would like to have your take on that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, this is a question which quite a number of people have asked me in terms of how do you allow your son to follow being a Carnatic violinist while you're, grown your business to this extent, and your daughter
I
to.
think probably you can touch upon, you can touch upon what they're doing also. That'll be nice. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
Please go ahead.
sure. Yeah.
Nice.
So my son is very passionate about Carnatic violin, and he was very fortunate, at a very young age, to get in touch with a guru who is of an international class, Kumaresh of the Ganesh Kumaresh fame, and he literally adopted him as his own son. In terms of when he realized that potential in my son, he called my wife and me to his house one day, and he and his wife, they addressed us and they said that, look, your son has got potential to, really get to the top in this line. Would you like to homeschool him from 11th standard onwards, so that he has more time to play the violin? So without a second thought, my wife and I, we took the decision, why not? Particularly when a person of such a high caliber and such experience, when he is advising us in this direction, then we felt very secure about taking this decision. Similarly, my daughter was very passionate about psychology right from her college days, and she has had the opportunity to go to Canada. She has picked up a lot of world-class, this global experience in terms of how to deal with right from adolescent children to people. And today she is grooming herself to handle a particular niche of a problem, which is women folk who have relationship problems. So that's the kind of a niche she's picking up, and she's trying to see if she can specialize in that. In fact, there was a time when Vaibhav's guru was also feeling very, probably I would say, thinking that he's snatching my son away from the opportunity to follow my footsteps. So he was thinking that at least my daughter should be following my footsteps. And he tried pushing Kirtana, as her name, to come into my business. But one thing I realized is that, each one of us are born for a purpose in life. And, we must allow a rose to be a rose and a lily to be a lily. If we try to make a rose anything other than what it is meant for, then you'll actually be damaging the rose. And I equally have exposure to a number of my entrepreneurial friends who have literally tried to force their children to follow their footsteps, and it's gone absolutely awry. I think we need to believe in a little bit of spiritual approach in these aspects. And I have enjoyed my journey as an entrepreneur, and I will continue to enjoy this journey as long as my whatever circumstances permit me to. But I have no right to come in the way of what my son would want to be and become, and what my daughter would want to be and become. And as a parent, it is my complete responsibility to allow them to be the best version of themselves. Like I am being the best version of myself. So who am I to deny that? And fortunately, my wife also aligns with this thought process, or rather, there's a lot of synergy in between us in this particular aspect. So I think being vulnerable and being embracing uncertainty about what is the future has its own beauty in it. It has its own wonder in it. And as long as you take responsible decisions to ensuring that you're doing all the right things, taking all the right steps in the right direction, there is a power which will take care of oneself. So I'm quite excited for my children as much as I'm excited for myself. And as I said, the bottom line is that each one of us should come from a commitment of wanting to lead extraordinary lives. And as long as we come with that kind of a commitment, then nothing else really matters.
Wow, amazing. It's very deep and very profound. Thanks, Ramani. That's a beautiful way you put it, and clears up a lot of doubts in people's mind, and also gives you a lot of clarity. Thanks. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, great, super. So now I'd like to go into something lighter. So I'd like to have a rapid fire question round with you. Okay, I'll put across a few words to you. In 1 to 5 words, you answer me back. Okay. So let's see what you have got for us. Okay, for the viewers. Okay. So the first one, the current pandemic.
It's been a great opportunity to discern our own strengths, being innovative and inventive.
Wow. Corporate social responsibility.
I always believe that charity begins at home. And so corporate social responsibility should start with your employees and then go out into the external world.
Wow. Education.
Education is not about putting stuff into your head, but it is about allowing things to surface from within. And that will happen with the right focus.
Nice. Life balance.
Life balance is normally looked at from a time perspective, but I would like to look at it from a focus perspective. As long as you're able to balance your focus, you're balancing your life beautifully.
Wow. Very nice. Branding.
Branding is not just about the product which you make or the company which you run, but it's also about the persona which you come across as. So branding has to be a very comprehensive aspect of who you are, and that's where trust gets built.
Nice. Being global.
I think being global is a spiritual responsibility each one of us have. We must go beyond patriotism. We must go beyond the shores of our country and look at seeing how we can serve the world. So as long as you're able to manufacture or develop some services and some technology and offer it to the world where they need it the most, that is true globalization.
True. Today's young generation.
I think they are the future. And what is important is for us to respect them for who they are and not try to mold them into what we want them to be.
Nice. Very well said. Wonderful. Ramani, it was a very, very interesting talk with you. A lot of deep moments, insightful moments. And thanks for opening up yourself and giving us so many insights and giving us an insights into your thought process. And really appreciate that. Any
Thanks,
closing comments?
Satish.
You can say that.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, how you've been able to conduct this abundance show as frequently as you have. I've gone through your YouTube channel. I've gone through a couple of your interviews which you've had. It's a great contribution you're making to the world, and I'm sure people, who subscribe to your abundance show, they would probably want to come back again and again because you have a way of getting the best out of your the person whom you put in the hot seat, I guess. And it's this kind of a learning and sharing is important because there are other people who would want to learn about the other. What are the experiences which people who have walked the same kind of path have gone through, or even if it's a different path, what is their perspective? So keep it going. I'm sure you are yourself also learning a lot in the process, and it's a great way to touch lives. Keep it going.
Thank you.
That's very appreciated.
Thanks, Ramani. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your inputs. Let's see how we can make a difference to people's lives and impact the world. All the best to you and your team.
Thank you, Satish. Thanks for having me.
Our aspirations as mankind is growing. We have begun to question ourselves and are trying to delve deep within to understand ourselves and to grow. We want to operate out of a deep sense of purpose. We have realized that humans can alter their lives by altering the attitudes of mind. Here's an attempt to connect, share, get some of the successful people to open up about their journeys. An attempt to delve into their minds, thought process and attitudes, how they think, feel, operate, and what are the habits that make them who they are. In the process, accept ourselves with all our insecurities, vulnerabilities, fear, and work towards transforming ourselves into better versions for today and tomorrow. I am Satish Rao. I am an abundance crusader, vlogger, online and network marketer. I am passionate about creating abundance in all areas of our lives.